So the NCAA actually put out a new memo this week, outlining new requirements for agents looking to represent players testing the NBA draft waters, okay? It's being called awful. I've seen elitist, racist, even people are saying, here's the new rule. Agents now have to have a bachelor's degree, NBAPA, so National Basketball Players Association certification for at least 3 consecutive years, professional liability insurance, and completion of an in-person exam taken at the NCAA office in Indianapolis in early November. The bachelor's degree part, that's what a lot of people are upset about. A lot of people are talking about that. They're calling this the Rich Paul rule. And let me explain that because I think this is important even if you don't like sports. I think so. So Paul represents LeBron James, the greatest. He also represents Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons, Draymond Green, other people, and he recently brought his Clutch Sports Group under the United Talent Agency umbrella. Here's the thing, Rich Paul began working with LeBron James a couple years after high school and didn't graduate from college. So in case you don't understand that, that means under these new guidelines, Paul wouldn't be able to represent players looking to kind of like test the NBA draft waters, which is ridiculous because he's good enough to represent LeBron James. So James tweeted about this a couple times, actually saying, hashtag the Rich Paul rule. He wrote, can't stop, won't stop. They're big mad and scared. Nothing will stop this moment in culture over here. Sorry, not sorry. NBA star Chris Paul jumped in. He tweeted, I completely disagree with the NCAA's decision. Some life experiences are as valuable, if not more, than diplomas. And y'all need to rethink this process. This is crazy. Even 2020 hopeful Andrew Yang jumped in the conversation saying, instead of putting arbitrary requirements on agents, the NCAA should pay Division I athletes who generate millions in revenue for their schools. Coaches and athletic directors make millions while the kids pretend to be amateurs and scrounge for meal money. LeBron also tweeted a couple screenshots from some articles that kind of document Rich Paul's groundbreaking work, you could say, like in the industry. This was an ESPN piece from 2012, and there's just a few pieces he highlighted there saying, there's an agent quoted saying, Rich is now a major threat to every large corporate agency that exists. There's trembling throughout the industry, and that's why some people are taking shots at Rich. Also saying, like it's commonly said, LeBron James made one of his boys a woefully unqualified member of his entourage his agent, and he didn't graduate from college, so how did he get certified? So I get why one would call this elitist.
For sure.
Of course. Look, so is it a completely illegitimate issue? No, not necessarily, because a lot of the athletes are really targets for scam artists. But a lot of famous people, celebrities, are targets for scam artists, and so I get that, but it seems like more like an excuse. And think about how insulting it is to the players. A lot of them didn't graduate from college because they went on to go play at the NBA. Now, if you're great, you either come out of high school or you come out after your first year in college. So now some go back and finish up, but a lot of them, by definition, didn't finish college. They just called most of the NBA illegitimate.
They make them play that 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year, one and done.
Right.
I'm so glad you brought up that some players are targets for scam artists, Cenk, because that is true. If we all remember back in 2017, where 4 NCAA assistant coaches and an Adidas rep were all indicted on bribery charges. But wait, they all had college degrees. How could that possibly be that some of the scam artists in this world happen to have college degrees? Or go to Wall Street and you'll find tons of college degrees, which doesn't actually impact their moral compass. Shock horror, but that's exactly what they're trying to do here at the NCAA. They're trying to control this sense of morality that, well, these young kids, and they treat them like children, right? This is what the NCAA's problem is. They try to treat these athletes as children instead of like young men who are coming out into the sport, young men and women. And that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to coddle them. So, in order for these kids to potentially go on to achieve great things, they must have someone representing them who has a college degree, because that person is going to be a stand-up person. Well, I'm sorry, but a lot of the times you'll find out that doesn't matter. As Chris Paul said, their life experience. And if you're overall a bad person, whether you've got a degree or not, it's not really going to influence that.
Yeah, so I want to add a couple of things. First of all, you're of course, there's the biggest scam artist in the country, graduated from an Ivy League school. His name is Donald Trump. Okay, even him graduating from that school was a scam. His daddy got him in, miserable grades. He's been hiding ever since, etc. But this actually reminds me, to make it even more political, of the DNC. How so? Well, in a lot of times, especially in the last election in 2018, and now the DCCC, the House of Representatives version of the Democratic leadership, is doing the same thing, even more so, are saying you have to use our consultants and our lobbyists, the people that are connected to us. Otherwise, we're not going to support you in your races if you're Democrats. So in this case, they're saying you got to use our buddies who have gone through this certification, et cetera, and that are part of the establishment if you want to use an agent. Oh, you're gonna use people that haven't already made it, that didn't, aren't part of our club.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the number one thing.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yes, exactly, and so that's why the Democrats do it, because they want to maintain the club. And that's why the NCAA is being pressured by the agents who are all part of the club to say, hey, don't let anybody else into the club, especially the riffraff, people who aren't in the upper class. I mean, think about Rich Paul, right? Well, I mean, they're still talking smack about him. He's got the top, not only the top clients, he got them the top contracts. He literally cannot do a better job. They're all maxed out. Right?
And it's so absurd is that this organization that exploits kids for billions of dollars, right? These young athletes, exploiting them for billions, saying that you need to go and put yourself into financial debt in order to come and represent them, that they're exploiting for billions, playing for their organization, that they don't pay them. It's like, well, I could somewhat understand that they're always looking for ways to try and keep these athletes from going to the NBA too quick because they want to make money. Like if you are trying to put forward some of the best and brightest athletes, if they've got a chance of leaving earlier because some agents are looking to try and move them onwards and they can try and milk some more out of them, how do you do that? Oh, you could use some of our own club members who are like, oh, maybe just wait a year. You don't want to go and sign a contract. Maybe hold out, play for enough, fill some of the stadiums, and then we can maybe move you on to bigger and better things.
And it's going to backfire because it's not. And then if they want to focus on these kids, their education, then it's going to backfire because we're talking about kids who are simply testing the water. So you're saying your uncle cannot take meetings for you. All these kids are just gonna declare because if you finish your first year and Rich Paul is talking to you, you're good. But the other people that you're now trying to protect from so-called like scammers, they're just gonna declare early and then be screwed out of finishing their school, finishing their degree. They're just gonna declare. Then they're gonna be like, okay, well, I'm not gonna think about potentially coming back. I'm just gonna declare for the draft.
And one last thing, since you need a bachelor's degree, it literally creates a monopoly in a sense, or an oligopoly, and says Rich Paul, one of the most successful agents in the country, is not allowed to talk to these athletes. That's mental, right? It's not just about future agents that are gonna come and talk to you. Current living day agents that are literally the most successful in the business are not allowed in because the club has said that they don't want them, right?
I wish you finished the accent full out in that.
I think he saw me sitting here and he's like, do I go further with this? We got an accent judge right here.